The breakup of the United States. Let's look at some of those triggers that I was mentioning before. The global financial collapse. We have now, after having experienced the mortgage crisis and the derivatives crisis and all that brought with it, now we are entering into a new stage, the national sovereign debt crisis. I know a lot about that in Argentina because we were collapsed, destroyed by the banking cabal. IMF, the major banks, JP Morgan, Citicorp, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, HSBC. My country was collapsed by these criminals in 2001, and now we are seeing the exact same process happening in Greece, in Spain, in Iceland, in Ireland, perhaps in Portugal. And if it happens in these European countries, the question is, will the Euro mechanism continue to hold? And after the sovereign debt crisis, will we see a credit card crisis? I mean, as I say, the global financial collapse is a Ponzi pyramid, and it is unsustainable, and its characteristics are irreversible. Deepening economic crisis. As I've said in other instances, the global financial system is like a tumor, and it is metastasizing into becoming a cancerous tumor that is about to destroy or wants to destroy the entire economic body. It's the economy that counts, not finance. Will this bring about social upheavals? Well, turn on your television set, and we're seeing that in Greece. We've seen that in Spain. We're going to be seeing that. We've seen that in Iceland and in Ireland. We will be seeing that in France. We will be seeing that the world over, definitely also in Argentina, and most definitely also in the United States of America. Add to that Haiti and Chile. I'll be talking about that in a few seconds. And we will be having tremendous social upheavals, which are for the most part artificially controlled and even artificially triggered. The fifth trigger that I really like to delve on is the artificial environmental, global warming, and other geophysical phenomenon trigger. Many of you might know that there is an old project, very top secret, called HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which has huge antennas in Alaska. It is run by the United States Air Force and the United States Navy. It is presently has about 180 antennas which can feed billions of watts of power, and will soon have 360 antenna which will be many billions of watts of power. What does HAARP do? It transmits extremely high power but extremely low frequency radiation into the ionosphere, which is about 80-90 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, and which reflects radio waves. All of those of you who are old enough like me to remember when we used to fiddle around with shortwave radios, we could listen to faraway shortwave transmitters because the signal was repeatedly reflected from the ionosphere back to Earth, back to the ionosphere, and back again. So me in Buenos Aires, I could listen to the BBC London because the wave from shortwave transmitter at BBC London would be reflected several times by the ionosphere until I could receive it in Argentina. Now, when you pump billions of watts into the ionosphere at extremely low frequency, it appears that the ionosphere can resonate and can reflect that back over specific target areas, and those specific target areas, if they have been identified as being geophysically unstable, that can trigger an earthquake. I'm not saying that HAARP can cause an earthquake. A gentleman by the name of Eric Begich, who is the son of a former U.S. representative and the brother of a U.S. senator, has been studying these matters, and he explains it very well. Resonance is very important, is very important, because if a certain geophysical area, or if a part of land can be seen as being unstable and is, shall we say, ready for an earthquake, even a major one, if we can understand what its resonating frequencies are, and they are always very, very low frequencies, 5, 6, 10, 12 cycles per second, very, very low, if HAARP can pump billions of watts of electromagnetic energy reflected from the ionosphere onto those unstable or potentially unstable parts of the Earth, that can trigger an earthquake. I insist, not cause it directly, but it can trigger it. Maybe it was going to happen anyway, or maybe it was going to happen in a different way. Have we seen that happening in Haiti, where there was a 7.0 earthquake on the 12th of January? Are we seeing that, or have we seen that in the dreadful earthquake that occurred right next door to Argentina, in Chile, especially in the area around Concepcion and Constitucion, an 8.8 earthquake on on the scale on 27th of February. Sorry, I don't know, but I do know the following: that ELF, extremely low frequency, is being used as an for a process called earth penetrating tomography, whereby certain parts of the earth are irradiated with extremely low frequency so that we can see, or scientists can see, where there are oil deposits and so forth. Can high-powered versions of that create other geophysical phenomena? Is a tool for geophysical probing to find oil, gas and mineral deposits over a large area also being used for military purposes? All I know, this also goes back a lot to the very badly known by the public, by public opinion, theories of Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, we all know about Edison, but we don't know about Tesla. Tesla is the guy who's responsible for you having 50 or 60 cycle alternating current in your house. He was a genius, and for various reasons he was almost covered up. Now, in an old report, 28th of April 1997, former Secretary of Defense under the Clinton administration, William S. Cohen, trilateral member, Council on Foreign Relations member, just as Bill Clinton and most of his cabinet were, he gave a keynote address at the Conference on Terrorism, Weapons of Mass Destruction and U.S. Strategy at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. This is in April 1997. He was joined at that time by Senators Sam Nunn and Richard Lugar. And amongst other things, former Secretary of Defense William S. Cohen said that there were indications that there were certain groups, and I quote, Secretary of Defense Cohen, who are engaging in an echo type of terrorism whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes and volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. This is a former Secretary of Defense saying this over 13 years ago. So yes, perhaps using these resonance phenomena, you can trigger earthquakes in various parts of the world. You know that resonance has a lot of multiplying effect. A small wave can resonate and generate a huge movement. And at present, the people running, although it's the United States Navy and the United States Air Force, the scientists actually running HAARP, originally were from ARCO, Atlantic Richfield, a Rockefeller company, which sold it to E-Systems, which is a military contractor with the Pentagon, and then to Raytheon and British Aerospace. So we have power elite corporations running this ultra-high tech and very top-secret project in Alaska that might be able to trigger earthquakes, and that definitely is a weapon of mass destruction. Another one I'd like to very quickly refer to is the war in the Middle East, because that is being announced at any time now. And that will trigger dreadful, dreadful situations throughout the Middle East, and will probably mean the unilateral invasion or bombing of Iran by Israel, and Israel is doing the impossible to get the United States to do its dirty work for them, just as it did in Iraq. And when that happens, the reaction from Iran will be dreadful, and if nuclear arms are used, we just do not know how it will end. A CFR member, Zionist naturally, gentleman by the name of Daniel Pipes, in a recent article recommended to Mr. Obama, actually it's an article called How to Save the Obama Presidency, Bomb Iran, 2nd February 2010, this was just published very recently in the Washington Post, and he says in another article that Obama should act crazy. He should act crazy the way Nixon acted crazy, making the Vietnamese believe that he might just go nuts and bomb Vietnam, which he finally didn't. And he recommends to President Obama to do the same, to start acting crazy and make the Iranians believe that this guy really means business and he might end up throwing an A-bomb over Iran. I mean, these are the people running American foreign policy. If an invasion against Iran takes place, we do not know how Russia will react, we do not know how China will react, or rather we can sort of guess how they will, and it will not be nice. But again, war in the Middle East is definitely one of the triggers that we will be seeing reactivated very shortly. And beating up a rogue state comes together with that, because it would be beating up Iran. And after Iran and Afghanistan, who's next on the list? Venezuela, Bolivia, even Argentina? As I say, the important thing is to stay calm, stay alert, understand what is happening, Be open to all necessary action and understand that the global power elite is presently waging a global war on freedom. Your freedom and my freedom. No matter what part of the world you're in and you're listening to my words, I'm in Argentina, perhaps you're in America or you're in Europe, they are waging a global war against freedom.